Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Mm,
Okay. My name is Elias. I'll be with you today. Before we get started, I do like to let every client know it's on the form and everything, but we do record our consultations just so that way they are available to you, in case you need any information from them.
okay, cool.
Other than that, we can go ahead, just get started. We're here to talk about Brutus, right?
Yeah.
You can go ahead and just let me know some things maybe that you're trying to work on or goals for the future, and then we can get into everything.
Okay, cool. So basically this is like my first dog personally. Like I've always had like a family dog and such, but I'm moving out this year. So I'm
Yeah,
getting him a week before I'll be sending him to training. And I've talked to a lot of people about it. I was planning on sending him to like sleepaway training anyway,
yeah.
basically. But I think I want to like bond with him for like a week and a half, and then I'm gonna send him to training. So he'll be very young. He'll be like 10 weeks, I think. Is that
Okay.
okay?
So right off the bat, the only thing that we would require is that he get his vaccinations before he comes in.
Yes, yes. He has his appointment during within the week before. So he'll be vaccinated. I don't know if they can do all of them on the first appointment. I don't know if you know, but I'm gonna try and like do as much as possible.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure with that stuff specifically. What we can do is after this, I'll have one of either Elizabeth, who you may already be in contact with, or
Yeah.
Katie, our kennel manager, give you more information on how that stuff would work out and everything.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, but he does have an appointment set for like the second day after I get him, so he'll have gotten his like first appointment.
Okay.
I doubt he'll be neutered though, because I think that you have to set that appointment out for a long
Yeah.
time. Is that required?
No, the neutering is like personal preference, like up to you.
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
Um, so what would you say like you are looking to get out of the training? Like, what are the goals you're trying to hit right away?
Ideally, I'd want him to be potty trained and then get comfortable with crate training. Obviously, I know that takes a while, so I plan on like continuing that training later on.
Yeah.
And then just good behavior when we are on walks, like being able to walk on a loose leash, not pulling the whole time.
Okay.
Um, and then basic commands like sit, stay, like sort of
Okay.
situation.
Um, Okie dokie. That all sounds very reasonable, especially for the type of puppy programs we do here. A lot of it is going to be focused on the potty training and crate training. And then the obedience side of things, we do implement for our puppies like positive reinforcement and then start introducing a little bit of pressure using a gentle leader. If you
Mhm.
know, if you're familiar with that. Uh,
Yeah.
that's just to kind of start to get them introduced because since they're still young, we wouldn't put them into something like our pressure training like we do for the adult dogs. Um, but with the training here, how long do you think that you were trying to have him board and train with us?
I had talked to someone on the phone and I was looking at the 3 week training.
Okay.
Do you think that's
Uh,
enough time?
yeah. So for the type of training that we do for the 3 weeks, we can definitely get a good basis for the potty training. And then you would still obviously need to carry everything over to your home. Um,
Hmm.
but the way that we go about potty training here is that the way that it works is we should expect an hour of time between bathroom breaks per like month how old they are. So for 10 weeks, that's going to be 2 months about, we can expect Brutus to be able to basically hold it for 2 hours in between bathroom breaks. So
Okay.
that advances as he gets older. So once he gets to 3 months, then he can do 3 hours between breaks, 4 months, 4 hours. The max we do is 6 months because that's when they're considered an adult. And ideally, we can expect an adult dog. under normal circumstances to be able to have a bathroom break in the morning, a bathroom break in the middle of the day, and then a bathroom break at night. And that adult dog should be good. But that's
Okay.
as far as we push it. So with the potty training here, he's coming in at 10 weeks. We will most likely have him on like a 2 hour schedule, to where we let him out every 2 hours, unless there's other circumstances. For example, if we feed him or are specifically giving him water, then we let him out about 45 minutes to an hour after that. Just because we can expect, they're young, their metabolisms are going. So when they eat, we wouldn't expect him to be able to hold it for the normal amount of time because he just ate. With the way that we give food and water, the food will most likely be given mostly through the obedience training we'll do with him. So one,
Okay.
that's going to keep his drive up during the training, because not only is he training and like doing fun stuff, whatever, but it's also the way that he's getting his meals. So he's looking forward to those times a little more. And then we can also just make sure to space out his food throughout the day, and that makes it easier with the potty breaking and everything like that too.
Okay.
With the water, the way that we would go about that and how you would do it at home is the rough rule of thumb we go by is an ounce of water per pound that the dog is.
Yeah.
So let's say he's like 10 pounds. Then we're doing 10 ounces of water, and that's through the entire day. So you can give like a few ounces in the morning, a few ounces in the middle of the day, however you space it out. But we wouldn't allow free access to water unless we're giving it to him specifically. The reason,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, like, so is that something you think I should continue at home? Like, definitely, like, giving him um not giving him like free access to water, because our all the dogs we've ever had, we've done that, but they've
Yeah.
all been like huge dogs.
Yeah.
So
So normally for an adult dog, that's fine. Like, for example, my dog, he's already 4 years old. I've done the potty training stuff with him. He can have free access, and I know that he can manage it himself. But when we're
mhm.
doing the potty training, we want to be very specific and in charge of everything, basically. Because the best way to have Brutus like not have accidents in the home is to never let him have the chance to have an accident in the home. So
Okay.
with the restricting the water, it just gives us more control of knowing when he's going to go to the bathroom. Because let's say I give him water with his dinner. Okay, I know about an hour from now he's probably going to have to go. I let him out. He goes to the bathroom. Now I know that he's not going to have any accidents like during that next span of time. So it just gives you more control of the situation to know when he's going to go to the bathroom, so you're not guessing.
Okay,
Uh,
awesome.
does that any questions with that, or does that all that make sense?
I know you can't really tell, but
Yeah.
where would you think he'd be with the potty training after 3 weeks? Do you think it would be like, I don't know, like he'd be like very few accidents, or is it just kind of based on the dog? Because he is a
Yeah.
puppy.
So our goal with the potty training is consistency. So we would be aiming for just like no accidents at all, because then he's never
Oh,
learning that.
great.
So since he'll be here with us for like a board and train, that's going to be a lot easier. Just because we have trainers here with him throughout the day, so we can really be like on top of him. So with that, we would expect no accidents other than maybe overnight, just because that's a longer amount of time. And some dogs, especially since there's going to be a lot of change happening in his life, he could have like a little stress accident like overnight. Um, that type of stuff we wouldn't worry too much about, because again, he's going from being with you to going right into a program. So we don't mind him making mistakes. But during the day, we would shoot for no accidents at all, just so he never learns that behavior in the first place. Um,
Okay. And then for the week and a half that I have him, is there anything you can send me like prematurely, kind of like what I should be doing to make sure I don't like reinforce any behaviors beforehand?
yeah, we can give you a little rundown of the ideal like potty training schedule and how you would go about that. One thing that's really important with the potty training is that It ties hand in hand with the crate training very well, just because, especially starting off, even though he's just a puppy, you want to get him very familiar, very comfortable with the crate right away. So that way you don't have to deal with any separation anxiety issues down the line, or him trying to break out of the kennel or him barking in the kennel. All of this stuff is a lot easier to address if you're starting off with the kennel being used fairly often when
Mhm.
he's coming home with you. So the way
Okay.
that I would look at it is anytime that you're not actively doing something with him, uh, I would have him in the kennel for just more and more practice. So if you know that you're going to be like busy, doing something like for work or something like that, and you're maybe in the room with him, but you're not able to watch him, I would put him in the kennel. This is because one, he's just getting more and more practice in the kennel. He's not expecting that like he's going to get to be by you 100% of the day because eventually you're going to go out and do things and you want him to be comfortable on his own. Um, this is also going to help with the potty training because now he doesn't have a chance to have an accident somewhere wherever he's free roaming. If he has an accident in the kennel, that's going to work to our benefit because dogs are denning animals, so they don't want to go to the bathroom where they live, basically. So that's why
Okay.
it's easier for them to make accidents in the home where they can go over on the other side of the house and then go over and lay on the couch or something. So with that, if Brutus has an accident in the kennel, what we would do is basically make that his consequence, and then he would have to wait until his next bathroom break to go to the bathroom. We wouldn't clean up the mess right away because he needs to understand that, okay, if I don't hold it and I just go to the bathroom right here, like now I have to deal with like my pee or my poo. And he's not going to want that. So that's what's teaching him, okay, I'm not going to go to the bathroom in the crate. Like, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
And then we take him out, clean him up, clean up the kennel and everything, and then good to go, move on with the rest of the day. But usually dogs learn pretty quick when they start making a mistake, if they do, just because they don't like it the same way that like you or I would not like that. So it's very easy to communicate that to them with doing the crate training as well. Any questions with that so far?
No, that sounds good with me. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so for the crate training, as I kind of already mentioned, I would like while you're home with him, I would have him in the crate as much as possible while you're there able to watch him, just because you're available to address anything like the accidents, any like stress he might be having where he's going to start barking or something like that.
Hmm.
Rather than having him right away start off where you're in a situation where you're thinking like, oh, I need the crate because I'm about to go out. But now if he's having a hard time, you're not really available to help him through anything. Um,
Okay.
does that make sense?
Yeah, and then the situation with the crates, at least I've read, you don't want them to have like one that's not proportional to their body size, I guess. Like you don't get like a super big one. Like it's not a good idea. Like something he's a pug, so
Yeah.
like a small crate is best
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah. So that tip is usually for something like this with the potty training and crate training. Um, so I would recommend getting one that's like very fitting to him, just
Okay.
because sometimes, especially for a smaller dog like him, if we give them a large kennel, what they'll start to learn to do is go to the bathroom on the other side of the kennel and then just go over to the other side. So they kind of
Okay.
distance themselves from it. So if they don't have that much space, well, now they're like, I'm not going to go to the bathroom because I have nowhere to go if I do.
Okay.
So yeah, I would recommend a crate that's very fitting for him. It doesn't need to have a lot of roaming space because that's what the time like outside of the kennel is for. He can roam and do stuff with you and hang out. But then when he's in the
Mhm.
kennel, it's pretty much like just chill, just lay down. You can chew a bone or something, but it's not necessarily like his entire like area, kind of.
Okay,
Um,
sounds good.
for the potty training and the crate training, did you have any other specific questions with that, or anything that you may have experienced in the past that you're trying to avoid with him, or something like that?
No, the dogs that I've had in the past have been rescues, so they've really not done well with crate training
Yeah,
for because of their past. But I think that starting him so young will be really good, so he
yeah,
doesn't like associate negative connotations with it. Because my previous dog, or the one that we have now as a family, is like really not a fan of it, and we don't really know her history. So that was like the only thing I'm really concerned about is like we just gave up on crate training with her because she would like holler from like 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. and no one could sleep.
yeah,
So I didn't want him to be very vocal.
yeah,
I guess like for I would like honestly like I know you get to know your dog, like he'll like mine now will like come paw me if it needs to use the bathroom. I don't know if you teach them any sort of like signaling or stuff, or if I should just automatically take them out every 2 hours at 2 months.
yeah.
Do you teach them some sort of thing like that?
So them doing the little signals is not necessarily like a good thing or a bad thing. It's just
Okay.
if they do that and you're fine with that, then it's fine. We would recommend probably not using any signals and just having them on like your own schedule, just because
Okay.
a few things can happen. One, there's some dogs who will start to learn that they can do something and you'll let them outside. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe they don't have to go to the bathroom. Maybe they just kind of want to run around outside. And that's okay. But if you're trying to get work done or something done and they keep coming over by you and pawing you to keep letting them out again and again, it can kind of get frustrating because you're unsure if like, well, if I don't let you out, are you going to go in the bathroom in the home now? So it can send mixed signals. Um, for uh, the other reason of why we would want them on our own schedule is because we don't want them necessarily deciding when they're going to go to the bathroom, because
Mm-hmm.
if you're not able to be there to take them out, then we don't want them saying like, well, I went and I pawed the door, mom didn't take me out, so I guess I'm just going to go to the bathroom in here. If they are more on our schedule, where we're not necessarily waiting for them to tell us, but we're just doing it as a planned thing, they know that like, okay, like kind of have to go to the bathroom, but mom's gonna take me out soon, so I'm gonna hold it. Like I'm not gonna do anything. Um, that is why we want them to get used to just going when we give them that time to go outside, rather than letting them decide it, just because it can create issues down the line.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, that works with
that
me.
being said, any like barking or anything, we would also not want that. So there's a couple ways to go about addressing behaviors that you might not like, for example, in the kennel and just in general throughout the house. As a puppy, everything is a lot easier and a lot softer just because they're small, like they're able to kind of handle things at like a lower level. So we would just slowly introduce something called physicality, and that's how dogs basically communicate to each other uh, that they didn't like something or they don't want something to happen. So this happens with mothers to their little puppies as well. There's a ton of videos on YouTube. One popular one that we usually show clients is there's a mom cream retriever going into a playpen with like 10 of her puppies, and they're barking, they're nipping at her, they're all over her, not giving her any space. So she goes for a small correctional bite on one of them, and then they all settle down. They all understand, like, okay, mom just told us no, we're gonna give her space.
Mm-hmm.
Then when they settle down, she's opens up to them and they get to come and eat and hang out and everything's fine. So from a very young age, they're learning that this physicality is a way that is going to communicate that they shouldn't be doing a certain thing. And this carries over into adult dogs as well. If I'm sure you've seen it before, like a dog goes up to another dog, tries to take their toy, they don't like that, so they try and like snap at them.
Yeah.
With that, we can take that idea and implement it in different ways to help us communicate to them as well, because obviously they can't understand language the same way we do. So we have to do things in a way that they're able to understand. With that, we start to introduce different things to use physicality. One way is, have you ever seen Caesar Milan?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
You know how he does the touch on the side where he like does the
yeah.
pull, he makes a noise. So there he's introducing physicality in a fairly light way, because like he's never like punching through the dog or something, but he's just adding that confrontation to let them know like whatever they're doing in that moment, they need to stop doing that. So
Mhm.
that's one way that we can add it in, that some dogs work really well with that here. And when you're at home, for example, let's say Brutus is doing something like, I don't know, chewing on the side of the couch. You need him to stop. Then you can implement it in that same way where maybe you add a word or make a noise or something if you like, and then do that touch on the side. And the area that you want to do it is, let me see if I can, is right on the side here below the ribs and above the waist.
Okay.
So in that area, it's very soft. So one, we don't have to worry about hurting our fingers or anything. Two, we don't have to worry about hurting, in this example, Brutus, because that's just like basically like fatty area. Like there's nothing there that would be hurt. And then obviously we can control to the degree of how we're adding in that correction. If it's something that's very light and he's able to understand it very easily, we can just do like a 2 out of 10 basically. If it's something
Okay.
more serious and he's more stubborn about it, then we can increase the pressure with our hand a little bit. So
Okay.
that's one very easy, convenient way of adding in physicality, especially for a puppy, because with puppies, even that confrontation can kind of snap them out of whatever they're doing, just because they're not really needing all that pressure to do something. Um,
Okay, cool.
any questions with that so far?
No, I think I'm good with that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. The same thing can apply to the crate, where what we would call kennel corrections is, let's say, one issue owners have is that when they open the crate, their dog rushes out, and that kind of builds anxiety for them, like wanting to leave the kennel because every single time they're
Mhm.
just rushing out, rushing out, rushing out, not a lot of structure. So we would implement something called a kennel correction, where you just open the door a little bit, the dog starts to rush out, then you just close the door, like basically closing it so that way they have to like back up. And that's again adding in that physicality, but now with the kennel door, so they're learning, okay, when I rush out without permission, the door's just kind of slamming back like in front of me. So I'm gonna just wait until mom gives me permission and I'm able to walk out. And that's again adding in that physicality, but now something that's more specific to the crate to address certain issues with that. Um, Same thing can be applied to something that we recommend clients is a bonker. It goes by different names, but it's basically something that you can kind of bonk the dog on the head with if they're doing
Oh.
something that they shouldn't be. Where, like, for example, people have used like a rolled up towel or like a newspaper or something soft, like a roll of paper towels, to again, where it's adding that confrontation. We're not trying to really have that kind of like force behind it, but it's the idea that you're kind of touching them and adding that confrontation where they're like, whoa, okay, like mom's disciplining me. Like I need to calm down or stop doing whatever I'm doing.
Okay.
Uh, does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And with all of this, keep in mind, since it's like a small puppy, we're not like really like throwing like force behind it. It's just the main idea is that confrontation and that physical touch. Um,
Yeah.
so just keep that in mind, especially with Brutus as like a pug. Like we weren't really
Yeah.
putting that much pressure or anything. Um, any questions with that and like how that would be implemented, like kind of in your day-to-day life?
No, I think that makes sense. And then I have like 4 sessions or 4 hours of training afterwards that we do as a
Yeah,
unit, right? So I think I'd be able to like figure it out. I'm more of a like learn by doing person, so
yeah.
Like anything that you guys teach him, the sessions afterwards, I'm sure would be very helpful for
Okay.
like continuing at home because I think that's the most important part.
Yeah, absolutely. So now moving on to more of the obedience stuff. With that, um, most of it, like 90% of it, is all going to be positive reinforcement with his food, as I mentioned. So just keep in mind that yes, we're building up a strong base for the commands, like to for him to carry that with him like through his life. But with positive reinforcement stuff, there's always going to be some type of ceiling. So, for example, Brutus may have a really good down command, but maybe later on, one time you guys are at the park, he's really distracted by something like a ball or something like that. In that moment, if his food drive is not that high, we can only make the food so important to him. So
Mm-hmm.
I would just keep that in mind that yes, we can get to a certain level of reliability with the commands, but for some dogs, the food stuff is like perfect and they're solid and there's no extra training needed. Some dogs get very easily distracted and they don't care as much about the food. So then the reliability in like more distracting environments is not as good as the reliability like at home, for example. Um, Not to say it's not worth it to have them build up a little bit of obedience while they're young, but just something to keep in mind moving towards the future. Because I wouldn't want you to have the expectation that the food stuff is like gonna be 100% reliable, perfect for him. More like it can create a base, but at the end of the day, Brutus, if he finds something more rewarding or more distracting, he still has that ability to pick that over the food.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what for adult dogs, what type of training do you do other than positive reinforcement?
Yeah. So as they move into the adult dog area, we start to introduce, because at the end of the day, we still keep everything balanced with using food, but we start to introduce more pressure. So as I said earlier, um, when Brutus is here with us doing the training, um, after we do a lot of the positive reinforcement stuff, we start to introduce pressure with like the gentle leader. And that's teaching him that, let's say he's pulling this way, we had tension this way. We're creating pressure now that's pulling him this way. And then he has to make the decision to basically move with the pressure, and then we can reward him and everything. So that's introducing him to the concepts of pressure. As he gets into an adult dog, that's where we start moving into things like prong collar and then what we specialize in, which is like e-collar. So
Yeah.
um
How he
yeah,
has a
go ahead.
little pug face though. So
Yeah.
how does the gentle leader work?
Yeah, so with that, that's gonna be something we'll have to like try out different sizes for him.
Okay.
Because we've had a gentle leader on a pug before. It is a little like awkward, I guess, to get it like fitting right. But we can find like a size that will like tighten correctly and everything. But yeah, it's not gonna be as snug as a dog with like more of a snout
Mm-hmm.
on their face. But we can find something that can at least work for now while he's younger and everything to be able to start teaching him stuff with it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's something with pugs, yeah, with their kind of smashed face a little bit.
I know. Yeah. I'm sorry if that makes it difficult.
No, no, it's fine. It's nothing we haven't dealt with in the past. It's just that's just like something that's specific to that dog that we just kind of work around. Um,
Yeah.
but as he gets older, then with the adult programs, like I said, we add in just more pressure on the pressure side of things, but we still would want to keep the food stuff available to him. So that's why having like a base of positive reinforcement stuff can be good, because then we're teaching his brain to be able to problem solve and work for this reward and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
when he already has an idea of what to do, adding in that pressure is just getting him to do things he's familiar with, but now just with a more advanced form of this pressure. So that comes in the form of, like I said, prong collar, e collar, slip leads, anything that's adding in that kind of aversive to him is considered pressure. So
When can I introduce, at what age can you introduce the e-collar? Because I'm definitely open to it because I'm going to be living in the city and I would
yeah,
be really freaked out if he like ran off or something like it's some sort of misbehavior. There's a lot that can happen in the city.
yeah.
What age can you introduce that?
So it depends. Technically, as trainers, like we can introduce it at any age, but we usually have clients wait until the 6 month mark when they're considered
Okay.
an adult dog. Just because it gives them time to have their brains develop a little bit more, so that way they can understand things a little easier and have less frustration. And then it also gives you time to really focus on the core puppy stuff. So that way, when you go into e-collar, you're not necessarily worried about potty training, crate training, all this other stuff still. Um,
Okay.
so
Can
I
I
would,
bring him back then for e-collar training, like maybe the next summer when he hits 6 months or something?
yeah, absolutely. That wouldn't be an issue, especially with having the puppy background. Um, I I think it would just, I guess, like strengthen it so that when he comes back to do that, it will be even easier than like a fresh dog who's never been introduced to anything like that.
Okay,
Uh,
cool.
and then with that, we for the obedience stuff we'll do here as a puppy, we go over basically all six basic commands with the food and everything like that, and then also including the gentle leader. So it's going to be uh, the heel walking with the gentle leader, sit down, stay, recall with the gentle leader, and then the place command. So he'll have a good basis for all those. But again, just keep in mind it's all going to be positive reinforcement. So some mistakes are going to occur as you do stuff with him. But we can try and get it as reliable as possible, depending on,
Okay.
of course, if he's, not very food motivated, then we would just use like higher food rewards for him, like certain treats maybe that he really likes. If he's really food motivated, everything's going to be just super fast and easy.
Okay, cool.
It really depends on him with that. Um, were there any questions involving the obedience stuff or any goals you were trying to hit with that?
No, no specific goals with that.
Okay. Um, but overall, with the 3 week program, like I said, that's like a lot of time to work with him. So we shouldn't have any issues setting him up solidly with the potty training and crate training. Um, for the obedience stuff, the way that that's going to look is the first week, you'll get a video of him doing all the commands first time with uh, gentle leader and food on the short leash. And then for the second week, we'll move all of his stuff to the long leash. So we're just kind of proofing and further testing how well he's understanding everything by having him be able to do these commands with a greater distance between us. Maybe you tell him down like across the room and he stays in that position while I walk to the other side of the room. Having that ability to send him to a place bed, like how we have, I don't know if you can see with the dogs back here, they're laying on their little beds.
Mm-hmm.
Telling him place, and then from whichever distance we're at, he goes to the bed that's his and lays down. All that kind of stuff is going to be more advanced in the second week. And then the third week is going to be more of the same as far as sticking with the potty schedule, sticking with the crate training, still going over his obedience stuff. But now we will be implementing more and more distractions. So maybe we practice his commands while other dogs are around him. Or maybe we try to
Okay.
recall him from a situation where he's playing with another dog. Or since the weather's nice, taking him to the park and trying everything outside and all of that. It's just more advancement of everything and seeing how far he's able to go with just the food stuff. Um,
And then you think so he's interacting with other dogs too, so he'll get pretty socialized with other dogs and humans.
yeah. So especially since he's a puppy, it's very easy to socialize puppies just because they're usually like pretty chill with everything. So,
Mhm.
depending on the puppies we have here, we can start to introduce him to like dogs his age, and then see how he does with some of the very playful like adult dogs if they're wanting to play with him and everything. Certain dogs aren't a fan of puppies, so we would not have him with those dogs. And then the dogs that are more into puppies, we could see how he does with different types of dogs in the play group, different ages of dogs in the play group, and really get a feel for how he's going to be socially.
Mhm. Okay.
Any questions with that?
No, that works with me.
Okay. Let me think if there's anything I missed there. Other than that, for the training, was there anything in there that you feel like uh is like has been left out or that you're still looking for with him? Or do you think that that's like all the basics?
This is like super minor, so if you guys can't do this, that's okay.
Yeah,
The dog that so Brutus is gonna be living with my family dog and I for like 2 months and then moving out.
yeah,
That dog is very friendly with puppies.
yeah.
But she responds to like only Spanish commands.
Okay.
So I don't know if you teach him in English, can I later teach him in Spanish or should I just keep him in English?
So, funny enough, like we can actually do both. So like Brutus can
Okay.
be bilingual, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
can you make him
Yeah.
bilingual?
And that would be fine. What we could do is, if you want, you can send us like your preferred like commands, the command words, in
Okay.
like an email, so that way we can teach him something that you're already going to be like comfortable with using. And then we can we can probably, so which one do you think is more important to you? The Spanish commands first or the English ones?
English commands first, I would say.
Uh-huh.
Um, the Spanish ones come out for the other dog, but I don't know, I might prefer them having separate ones so
Yeah.
they don't both come at the same time. And really
Okay.
we only use the most like ven aquí, venga, and like baja. That's it. Or siéntense sometimes, like
Okay.
sit. But I think that started because she wasn't responding in English. So
Okay. Yeah.
I just Brutus might hear that in the house for a little bit, and I was wondering if that's gonna like screw up his training in some way.
No.
But English is definitely primary importance.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not gonna mess it up. For example, for my dog, he knows a few commands in like both languages.
Okay.
So the way that that works is, um, like obviously we would first start off with one primary thing so he can get like his footing down with one word, and then
Mhm.
um, once the behavior is shaped, for example, if we're teaching him down, um, once we have him comfortable with the act of like laying down and giving him the reward, and then he's like, okay, this is an option for me to lay down and I get the reward. And then after that, we'll label it with the English command like down. And then he's understanding the sequence of hearing the word down. And then when he lays down, he gets the reward. So then once we're moving forward, he's like, oh, when they say down and I do this thing, I get the reward. Then adding in just a different word is not really that difficult, because now he's just thinking, oh, when they say this other word and I lay down, I also get a reward. So he's like, if I hear this word or if I hear this word and I lay down, I get a reward. Uh,
Okay.
so it's just adding in like another label. Obviously, there's like a ceiling. So like, well, I've seen some people have like 3 different languages for their dog. But I would say past that, it's going to be hard for them to keep track of everything. Um,
Yeah.
but definitely 2 command words for one thing can work just fine. Our process would just be shaping the behavior so that way Brutus knows he can be rewarded for doing this specific thing, giving it a label, which will be the command in English, and then once he's looking solid, just adding in another label, and then he's like, oh, this word works too.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. I didn't know you guys could do that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not a problem. Especially him being with us for 3 weeks. That's a lot of time for us to get the repetitions in. So I
Mhm.
don't see that being like difficult at all.
Awesome. Okay, perfect.
Um, any other question either pertaining to that or something else that you were trying to incorporate into the program?
No, I think everything sounds super good. I feel like he'll be in good hands.
Okie dokie. Yeah, and then of course, as he's here, he basically will get to be a part of all of the like daycare and boarding stuff that the other dogs do. So once he knows the place command, we could have him resting on these dog beds here, like the other dogs, playing in play groups, and then once he is comfortable with the gentle leader, we also have a small treadmill that we have for our puppies, and he can
Oh,
try treadmill with the gentle leader to get more practice there.
that's so cute.
Yeah, we'll be sure to send you a video of all that too.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh, great.
and then since the weather's nice, he gets the added benefit of being able to do training walks. As if some of our other dogs have training walks, you can join them too. And then once he moves on to the second and third week, we're able to get him a few sessions maybe at the park to get that more realistic practice.
Okay, cool. That's
Um,
perfect, honestly. You guys are the Fulton Street location or the other one?
we're on Lake Street right now.
Lake Street, okay.
Yeah. So that being said, there's like a few parks we go to, even though it's a little far. We usually like to go to Oz Park a lot because it's very busy, a lot of stuff going on. So it's like good intense practice. Um, we're also next to Humboldt Park and Palmer Square Park, which both of those we go to as well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, either way, any other questions with the program or anything with the training?
No, it all sounds really good.
Okay. So what I'm gonna have happen here is I'm just going to kind of give a rundown of what um the consultation we had was and the goals that you're trying to reach with Brutus to our kennel manager, Katie. And then her and Elizabeth will send you a follow-up email going over anything you might need for the program, as far as like vaccination stuff, whatever is happening with that. And then any information that you'll need as well, for what you need to bring for him, food instructions, everything like that. And then they can also go over pricing and payment plan stuff with you as well. And then kind of finish up the scheduling and everything through email as well.
Okay, awesome.
So just keep an eye out for that email. It's usually coming from our kennel manager, Katie, because she handles everything here. But since you've already been in contact with Elizabeth, she might be the one wanting to handle that. So it's
Okay.
going to be from one of them. And then, other than that, if you think of any questions down the line, involving the training, the program, anything, feel free to follow up with any questions in email. And either if they can answer your questions, they will. If not, they'll bring it to myself or one of the other trainers, and we can still help you out with whatever you're needing past this.
Okay, awesome.
And then, oh, right, and then I'll include also, I'll have them include some of the potty training information, so that way when you get him, you can kind of get started with that right away.
Yeah, sweet. Thank you.
Okie dokie. Anything else before we part ways here?
No, I think everything sounds super good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing Brutus. I always love the little puppy pugs. They look so funny.
They're
Uh,
so cute.
yeah. And then we'll be sure to be ready for his arrival and get to work with him.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. You have a nice rest of your day.
Yeah, have a good one. Thanks.
Bye.